Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Healing Within number 25. Tonight we have Michelle Cali, who will be discussing how we can talk to people who are going through abuse and how to recognize some of the signs that this is going on. Never an easy topic to deal with, I know, but hopefully when we get some people streaming through, you're more than welcome to ask some questions. I'm just going to put up here a couple of things before we get stuck in with Michelle. And like always, everything takes its time. But if you do have something that you believe that others would be interested, please share. Get in contact with me, Roy at moonandmars.com.au, and let us know that you know somebody that has a particular talent that is available for other people to gain some sort of insight from. That's the whole idea of Healing Within, is to bring that ability to as many people as possible. If you're interested in anything this evening and you'd like to know more about these programs, please type HEAL into the comments and we will certainly contact you through our little robot that does all the hard work. We've got a couple there, so please tap into that as well. If you would like to contact me about other items, you're more than welcome to contact me on Moon and Mars during the Facebook pages. And later this evening, I will be putting up at least one link to Michelle Cali so that you will have at least a connection there to contact Michelle about some of the topic that we're going through this evening. Now, feel free to ask any questions of our guest tonight as we go along, and hopefully she will be able to answer as many questions as possible. Now, what I'm going to do is to get Michelle up, and we will see what comments come from the flow of Michelle. Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Hello, I am very well. How are you?
I'm doing reasonably well, considering that the sun has finally decided to come out in this state. I was getting a bit frozen there for a couple of days. Ooh. We were down at Victor Harbour on the weekend, and believe me, the wind down there was blowing so cold that even the market packed up and left and went home. So, yeah. Hello, Sonia. I'm glad to have you on board. It's lovely. We will be talking to Michelle Cali, who you can see on the screen, and I will put Michelle's name up there for you so that you recognise her. And she'll be talking about abuse and a number of other topics. We're using abuse as a broad spectrum tonight. So please, Michelle, I know that you have a site called The Gifted Redhead. So can you tell us a little bit about The Gifted Redhead?
Okay, so basically, I mean, we're sitting here. I was sexually abused during my childhood. And then I had a lot of I'm going to use the word metaphysical. Spiritual is really not resonating with me anymore. So I've had a lot of metaphysical, I'm talking spiritual stuff, spirits happening throughout my life. Pretty much towards the deepest part of my own healing, my own self-journey, which I've never attended a doctor, counsellor, anybody. I've actually done my own healing to get to this point. Something that was a huge instrument for me to get to this point when I was at a pretty not good time was Saint Germain and the I am that I am. So
that's an interesting phrase. A lot of people make use of Saint Germain. I would at this point like to ask how this particular phrase influenced what you did.
Basically, going back a step, I did consult kinesiologists and healers on my own personal journey to healing, basically. And it was on a actual attendance to see a kinesiologist. He worked with something called tapping, or EFT, you may know it as. And I'm also, I suppose, one of the unusual people. I can actually also feel energy. So energy on others. I can feel sickness in others. I can look at photos of people overseas and just know where they're sick without you telling me. And as we were actually tapping, I could actually feel internally my energy straight up the middle just started to vibrate out. And then externally, I could just feel the energy, like a vibration just went out. So that's what got me into tapping. I then touched on it. I did go and learn neuro-linguistic kinesiology. That opened me up basically to energy centers and energy points, which I've actually been given more metaphysically that we are now needing. But yeah, so the Saint Germain came into it. I was in my healing room doing my own tapping, and I just started to hear in my head, I am that I am. And as I said it, it just resonated with me. And then universe puts people on your path. And this particular person said, you need to look up this guy called Saint Germain, who I'd never heard of. And yeah, here I am now. And I actually did then get downloaded, or I then heard, while fully awake, I don't channel, I don't do any of that jazz. I then heard a verse to be done only in the positive, which actually will raise our level of vibration and frequency. Unfortunately, most of the planet is vibrating at a negative level. So,
if I can just intrude for a moment, there's a couple of people who are looking to find out information about their health or pregnancies. This is not a reading show this week. This is about a classification of, I would say, psychological assistance, not readings. So please, if you have questions relating to how to recognize possibly abuse in others, or how to handle a situation where that is the underlying feature, you are more than welcome to ask Michelle questions on that. We also have a response from Rose Bounties. Now, she's brilliant. She's all over the place. She covers everything. Can you see the responses there, Michelle? It says, this live stream isn't for reading specifically, but an information session with Michelle Cali being a guest. There are readers at other times, so keep an eye on the descriptions for each live stream. Thank you very much, Roz. That's wonderful. And again, we have a couple looking for their health. Okay. Sorry, that sort of sidetracked a little bit there, Michelle, but I'll try and keep us on contact if we can. Tonight, you are going to be talking about a couple of areas. Could you give us those areas that you'll be talking about?
Basically, there's a lot of different stuff. I mean, I've obviously been through the sexual abuse as a child, and I'm now a parent to 3 amazing children. So I suppose I've really seen both sides of the fence, me growing up and knowing what it was like to now be able to help parents see, I suppose the word is, what to look out for. I'm presuming most parents actually think that the kids are just, are just going to go and tag on their jumper and say, hey, mum or dad, blah, blah, touched me and whatever. But I'm going to call it how it is, and that's not how it works. Abused, and I'm only speaking sexually abused here, are basically held, number one, the biggest thing is they are held at the level of fear, because they're basically told by the abuser. And I want to put in there that the abuser 9 times out of 10 is somebody that they actually know, and they actually blend in, and you would never think that they're an abuser. I mean, a lot of people seem to have this thought pattern that abusers walk around with a cone on their head or a dot in the middle of their head. That's not how it works. So anyway, yeah, just I did a 16 or 14-day video challenge on my Facebook page, just little quick 2-minute videos as an example. Even little things like, this would be, I suppose, one of the main things, when you are bathing your children. Now, you could be the grandparents now when you get to bath your kids or whatever, or if you are a parent to young kids, do not joke around with the genitals and make fun of it and give it a funny name and whatever, because what you're actually doing, I fully believe, you are actually instilling that it's a game, and you talk about it, and it's the wrong message that you're actually giving to the children. So that's one of the heads up, if I can call it the heads up.
A lot of that, though, it's not just about that. I think parents need to be very cautious about what they say in a lot of areas, because a lot of bullying is very reminiscent of what you're talking about now in do this or do as I tell you because I'm the adult. Instills in a child the aspect that no matter who the adult is, I must follow those directions. And rather than saying something like that, they should be saying, if I'm out or I'm out and about and I have something to say, I want you to listen to me. If I think it's possible for you to do something, I will let you know. Rather than, well, we've got a response here from Sonia that says, makes sense, Michelle.
Sorry, there's
not just any single response. It's a massive different responses.
There is. I mean, even for adults. I mean, I'm obviously an adult, and the people on here, I'm presuming, are parents, adults, aunties of younger kids. Even an amazing one that came through that I actually got was, be very, very careful what you're actually saying, whether you're with a group of friends at a party, if you've got visitors over. The amount of people that I actually hear say, if anybody touched my child, I would effing go and kill them. Now, if your child actually hears that, the perception of the child that has been abused is they are not going to tell you about the abuse, because in their mind, you were then going to go and kill that person, and you were then going to go and end up in jail, and they're going to miss you. So even adults actually speaking, they just don't think about it, which is fine. This is why I really wish my passion just to raise little things like that, because that is squashing a child from speaking up. So,
I don't think we realise just how much influence we have. We know what we're saying and how we're saying it, but a child does not have that capability to know that you wouldn't really kill them, but you want to know that your child was safe. It's just a wrong interpretation on their part.
The amount of parents that would be saying it, and the kids are playing around, or the kids are there, or hearing on the telephone or something. Really need to be careful.
So how would we actually recognise the signs that something like this might be going on? Maybe not so much in the family. It could be somebody else that's around us.
I believe they become very withdrawn. Now, I haven't had anybody, I can look in and I can feel people's abuse, like I said, that unusual energy, I suppose, gift, I mean, whatever you choose to call it. Something as an example. Now, I truly believe eating, anorexia or bulimia, whatever it's called. Now, they may not have been sexually abused, but that is something at a level that is, and I don't like to say not normal, because define normal, but let me explain it like this. When you are and I'm speaking sexually abused, when you are sexually abused, the one thing that you did not have control over is that abuse. So then what happens now, luckily for myself, I never had anorexia, I never had bulimia, I never self-harmed. I just had this knowing that I just had to try and control myself and fool the outer world, basically. But what happens is you don't have control over what happened, so then all of a sudden you try to control other things. You either try and control everything, or the only thing that you really have control over yourself is your own body. So that is when either the bulimia or the eating problems come in, because the brain is totally frazzled by this point of every emotion going on. So it's either to do with the eating. You now only have control of your own body. Nobody else has control of your body. And even the self-harming is to do with the body. And feeling that pain is actually seeing it and feeling it, but also, seeing it, releasing it, feeling it again, the emotion of self-worth. And it's an awful lot.
We've had a response from KB which says she understands what you're saying, and it said to my son, and I've educated my son on sexual abuse, and that's brilliant. I will commend any person that does that for their children because it is important. But mentioning bulimia and a couple of those, these are visible signs that we can see that a person is in distress.
Yep.
And in a lot of abuse cases, you don't see that. To me, you tend to see, as you said before, they change their behaviour in becoming more withdrawn. They're more focused on their studies and themselves, and they tend not to communicate as well as they might have in the past.
I mean, even something like, now, I'm not saying your child has been abused, so take a breath. Even bedwetting, as an example. I mean, what I learned in the kinesiology and as far as the body, I was a bedwetter. I'll call it out as a bedwetter for a very long time. But bedwetting is due to fear. Now, it might not be fear of abuse, but there is some type of fear going on in your child if they are a bedwetter. And I'm talking up to the 4, 5, obviously 2 or 3, not bad, but 4 or 5 and still bedwetting, there is a level of fear. Something in their life is fear, is scaring them. So, yeah. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that can go terribly wrong, and I use these terms rather softly. I did time with Lifeline, and we often had people ringing up about that kind of abuse, and Sonia says spot on. And we found that probably the first 10 minutes you really have to just listen to what they're saying, because it's to me it's a big, huge decision to talk to anybody about this, whether it's a neighbour, whether it's a friend, or whether it's just some unknown voice on the other end.
Yep.
The fact that they're making the attempt to tell something about any kind of abuse is a huge step for these people. So can you sort of give a guiding light on how we might respond to some of these people? I know how we did it on Lifeline, but I'd like to see whether it connects in with what you're doing.
Are you talking for people that have younger children? How would you talk?
Whether it's younger children, or whether it's somebody who's talking to you on a phone, a friend, whether it's your neighbour, and it's a big thing when they want to talk to you about this. So how do you sort of connect and respond?
There's a few things that I would love to. I want to use the word educate as an example. The worst thing coming from, like I said, coming from the abused and learning, like I've said, the Saint Germain and the I am, the worst thing that you can actually say to somebody who has been abused at any level, be it sexual, be it domestic violence, be it a child growing up with an abusive father, the worst thing you can actually say then and there is, oh, I am sorry. Please do not say that. Number one, do not say it. The best thing you can do, if you can remember, that person has probably taken all the last amount of their ounce, their essence, their whatever, just to speak up. Remember, they're vibrating at what is called the level of fear. For them to speak up is gigantic. So the best thing you can say is either something along the lines, and you wouldn't say all of these, but look, take your pick, whatever resonates with you, would either be something like, thank you for confiding in me. Look, if it's over the phone, it'll probably be like, wow, thank you for confiding in me. Please know that whatever you're going to say will stay with me. If there's something I can help you with, would you like some company? Have you seen a doctor? Do you need to go to a counsellor? Just reassure them, let them know that it stays with you. Obviously, you're not going to go and spread it around. The biggest thing I truly feel is thanking them for confiding in you, because believe it or not, those of you that have not been abused, for somebody to have the trust in you to confide in you is a huge, huge level of trust, and that person sees a lot of, I want to use the word magic. They just see magic in you. So feel blessed if you have ever been confided in. Now, be that any kind of abuse, but just ask them open-ended questions. Don't hound them. I do want to say that if it is a child, please do not hound them for questions. Just leave it open-ended.
We were always we were always guided to tell them straight outright, look, we are happy that you are talking to us, and we're happy that you've got the courage to step forward and do this. I will listen for as long as you need, and if I think that there's a way that I can help you, I will offer it. You're under no obligation to take that offer, but I thank you for calling us.
Yeah.
That was on the calls, but a neighbour would be, I would think it would not change greatly between any of the others on doing that, because
I feel being an adult now, I truly feel for an adult it would be different. You could ask a lot more open-ended questions. If they've come to you, they're ready to speak. Don't shut them down. Children, as we know, children are they'll say something and then it's like, boom. I mean, it's like those of you that have children, you pick them up from school and you start asking them questions. What did you enjoy doing at school today? Blah, blah, blah. They just shut down. They don't want to know about it. Don't start. Was it Uncle Freddie? Was it Auntie Mary? Was it blah? Was it blah? Was it blah? Because their head is just going to be going a million miles an hour. They might just say yes to something, and all of a sudden you've jumped down the barrel of a gun saying, oh, my God, it was Uncle Freddie, when it wasn't Uncle Freddie. I mean, I even heard a fantastic story. A friend of mine told me her friend has children, and they had, I think she had a daughter and two sons, and the daughter was only very young. And just in conversation, she just started to say that the next door neighbour or a cousin's cousin or something had started to touch her. The parents, if you can please remember this, the parents remained very, very calm and just spoke to her as in there was no big deal about it. When you start ranting and raving and going off your broom handle and, oh, my God, what's going on here? Oh, my God, I'm going to do ABC. Blah, 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 the child is picking up on you. So if you can remain very calm, what they did, I think the mother kept on talking to her. The father got on the phone to the police. They had the police come over to the house. They just sat down and spoke to her open-ended, and that is how they dealt with it. So that child is none the different, if that's the word, that she was sexually abused because of the way that it was handled, which I think was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've heard of instances where people have done similar things, simply stated, "Oh, all right, this happened. It's good of you to tell me, but next time you see so and so and they want to go along that line, you just say no. It's not proper for you to do that." But I put a but in here, and for children, that's a nice way to roll into it. But adults that tend to go through it tend to go a little bit deeper than children, because children tend to question what's going on, and if it's an adult, they'll go along with it more readily. Whereas with an adult, if it's bullying, abuse, or sexual abuse, or whatever, they will tend to close down and become more confined to themselves. Can we notice something on this to make us aware, even though we're not sure? Is there something that we should be aware of that would say this may be happening?
I would say, okay, once again, open-ended questions, and keep them very simple, and do not hound your children. I'll say it a million times, do not hound your children. Keep it open-ended, and those of you that are parents would obviously know, if you ask your child a question, now let's say you've got a child and you ask them the question and you don't make it a fun, you don't joke about it, you just ask them an everyday question like, how was your day at school? So it would be, oh, has anybody ever touched you, down? Now, look, I'm all for calling it I'll call it how it is. I'm all for calling it girls have a vagina and boys have a penis. Whatever they teach them now, fair enough. If that's whatever they call it, they call it. But just keep it in a general conversation. Let's say if you've got a boy, I don't know what they call it. Let's say they call it their Harry. I don't know. So has anybody ever touched your Harry? And they'll look at you and you'll either get a no, and then they'll run off and play. That's kids. We all know that's kids. If they have been touched, you yourself would know by their body language if they have been touched. Now, be it a girl or a boy, they would either close up like a clam. They would be completely different to it's basically a no. What are you asking me that question for? It's a completely different response. Yeah. So that's why, even going back to the beginning when I spoke about, let's say at bath time, don't joke around about it. Don't make it into a game, whatever. As you're drying them, just say in conversation, as you're drying them, just say, now, nobody's allowed to touch you, don't you? You're planting that seed. Don't hound on it. Keep going. Just plant the seed and keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end.
Perhaps look for changes in that bath time habit. I mean, if they're accustomed to having you in the room when they're bathing and all of a sudden they don't want anybody in there, that might be something to consider asking questions about.
But even at the end of, so you've dried them off, and as you're drying them, you say, now nobody's allowed to touch you, there, or however you choose to say it, and leave it at that. Don't take it any further. When they're fully dressed, pajamas on or whatever, and you might be picking up the towels, just say in open conversation, has anybody ever touched you? And once again, wait for the response. You'll either get a no, like, or if they just give you that look of whatever, that just dull look. Now, it could have been that somebody just patted them on the back. Once again, please remember your own emotions and your own reactions will make or break that child. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Gifted Redhead, the site, I have already put up the Facebook on the page, and what I'll do is copy that and put it into the comments. Can people contact you there about this, or
they can? I'm more than happy.
Somewhere else? Is there somewhere else that they should be looking?
No, well, at the moment it's the Facebook page, which is up and going. I have actually just done like I said, I think it was about a 14-day video challenge. Just like 2 to 5 minute videos, just talking about different things. So yeah, go and have a look. If you can. Is
this on YouTube or something else?
Facebook Lives. I did live. Yeah. You don't have to scroll through because the page has only been up for just under a month. So. So if you do like the page, share it with your friends. I often say, and people are very surprised, you never know how many of your very own friends out there have actually been sexually abused and are suffering in silence. So, yeah.
So, where do we go from here? What other topics can we discuss that we have not already covered?
I'm opening up, leading into mentoring, actually. So, yeah, having, I suppose, healed myself without, like I've said, doctor, counsellor, which I myself chose that path. I was under that much fear. I mean, I joke to this day that I was too scared to even breathe out a tune. That was the amount of fear that I was actually kept under. But speaking up is the best thing. So I'm leading. I finally made it. I'm now leading into mentoring, about to open up what's called a beta program, let's say, to about 3 to 5 new clients, because I haven't started yet. So this will be my trial for 6 months.
Are you looking for somebody at the moment to join the trial, or?
I am. I'm looking for, now it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. I mean, it can be abuse of any, or if you're even just looking for a mentor. My belief is, seriously, if someone has been through something and made it to the other side, something, I suppose, as bad as people call it bad, sexual abuse. Now, I've been through depression. I've been through 100% negative mindset. Believe me, what a doozy that was. It was, pretty bad. And I've also been through postnatal depression. So when you've been through that level of whatever you want to call it, Roy, and you've come out the other side, yeah.
So if anybody has been through this already or any of those topics and is looking for a mentor, Michelle Cali may be the person you might want to contact. Now, we've already put up there the Gifted Redhead, so please contact her on that site. It's good that Michelle is able to do this for a lot of people, and I'm hoping that we will hear back from Michelle on how the trial is going and whether it's working or not. So that's a good idea.
It will be. It's a mentoring program, so it'll be 6 months minimum. So yeah. So I'm at that point where I'm now ready to start helping others and mentoring, and basically I've been through all of the emotions, and I suppose the difference that I can offer is I've also studied the kinesiology, very super in tune with the universe and what a person needs. So there would also be that added benefit of me knowing at what point what's needed, and a lot of different things. So a lot of things for me are now together finally. So
yeah, are you intending on bringing kinesiology into the mentoring, or is that just a side issue that you went through to reach your goal?
No, I never had any intent. I never ever. I honestly thought that I was going to learn my kinesiology. So as you would know, my background is massage therapist. I've done Reiki 1 and 2. Have no intention of being a master. That just doesn't, for me, resonate with me. Went and studied the neuro-linguistic kinesiology, presuming that I was going to be a kinesiologist. But I believe I had to go and learn it, because that is where I learned a lot more on the body energy systems, where emotions are stored, how they're held, actual energy points. Those of you that know tapping, you know there's the points, there's under the eyes, the stomach, there's all these other points, which I learned, and I've actually felt my own internal energies actually unblock. I mean, I can feel my own internal meridians. That's how super freaky, whatever you choose to call me, that's your choice. But then what's led on from there, me learning that, I've now actually felt and learnt universally while laying in bed fully awake. I've now even learnt new energy points on the body that even I'm believing tapping experts, whatever you choose to call them, are not even aware of. I mean, as an example, just quickly, I've got an ebook, as I think you know the ebook's coming, so slowly, but there is a point now for the thymus, and I'll show you how to measure that out. I truly believe the amount of anxiety that is up and roaring at the moment and whatever is actually to do with the higher heart center, which is also the thymus, which is starting to activate and start moving in a lot of people. And it's coming out and showing as anxiety, because that's what it's labeled as, anxiety.
Yeah. So again, I can sort of come back. Wasn't quite answered. These aspects that you have learnt already, the kinesiology, the tapping, the I am that I am, and all this, is that part of the mentorship? Are people going to come and just talk to you? Are they going to come and you will say, look, I can assist you, but we'll need to do a little bit of kinesiology on you, or we will need to find a thymus point or whatever?
Okay, the way I am presuming, I mean, the way my mentor has worked and most mentors out there work is it would be a phone call. So it would not be actually coming to my house. So if you live down south, I'm out at Athelston, which is just, to save time. So it would probably be over the telephone. Kinesiology, I would be where I feel. People that know kinesiology, you can you use your fingers, which once again super in tune with. If that is needed, then that is what I would be seeing. Okay, what is the priority that needs to be worked on here? As an example, a lot of people think that a particular issue is the priority that needs to be worked on, but the actual underlying issue that they haven't even thought of is what actually needs to be worked on first to then go and clear. I mean, I've said it and people don't quite understand, but people just think, you'll go to a lot of mentors and it will probably be, you know what, forget about the past. The past is in the past. Just forget about it. Let's learn and let's move on from here. With abused, I mean, I can only speak for abused. For abused, that won't happen. You need to go clear your past to be able to move forward in your life. So
sorry, I was going to jump in there. I can see where this would work immensely, and what comes to mind at the moment is because this goes internationally, this particular show at the moment, would you be open to people from overseas using Zoom or Skype to have you set something up in that area where they can pay for sessions and be a part of the mentoring setup from overseas?
Sure. So it's basically global. Thank God for modern technology, as we all know. So it would be weekly. Look, once-off payment if you want for the 6 months would be fantastic. A lot of people choose not to do that. So it would be either a weekly, fortnightly, monthly payment directly into what do you call it? PayPal, which is all set up. And yeah, to Skype sessions or Zoom or Skype or Zoom, or even like if they're overseas, telephone would be out. So
telephone could be in, but as I say, with the technology today, something like Skype or Zoom would certainly be a progression, as you can set up your PayPal to mix in with both of those, I believe.
But I'm not doing kinesiology sessions once every. I'm not a kinesiologist. I'm here.
No, I'm suggesting this is part of the trial that you were talking, the mentoring trial. It would be a lot easier for somebody to sit down face to face. And I know for myself that I would prefer to talk to somebody face to face than on the telephone, although the telephone's convenient. I would like to think that you had something like this set up or was in the process of setting this up. Have you got a web page is the next one that people can go to?
I do, which is only got one blog at the moment, but once again, www.thegiftedredhead.com. So that's where I've got blogs waiting to be put up there. I'm actually speaking to the web guys how I can do all that myself. So that's.
Can you give us that one again so that I can put that up into the comments? We got www.thegiftedredhead.com.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it. At the moment, one blog, there are more coming. What I'm actually wanting to do, and it was a brilliant idea, another girl overseas, it's more of a place where, and I'm happy to put her name up later if I can somewhere, I have to find it. She actually gets women from all over the world who have basically overcome different issues, be it abuse, be it weight issues, be it anything and everything. She's actually got all of the stories from different women all over the world on there that are very, very inspirational. So that's something that I want to do also on the site.
Well, there is an opening, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to tune in to this tonight or in replay over the next 6 months. There is an open opportunity to send the stories to Michelle. Line up a Facebook or a Zoom or Skype. Excuse me. And I'm sure that Michelle will be only too happy to listen to the story. And if it's going to help somebody else, there's no reason why you can't get it on a YouTube channel or something. And Michelle will do her best to make that out there to help other people. Sorry, I'm having a terrible time here. What else can we sort of cover that we haven't? We got about 20 minutes. So we would.
Does anyone have a question? I mean, you asked for questions. Does anyone have a question they want to ask?
if they do, it'll show up in the next couple of minutes. But you're more than welcome to carry on in the heading that you want to, and people can put the question on, and I'll put it up when it comes up.
Do you want to? Okay, yes or no answer, people. Have you ever heard of Saint Germain? Yes or no? Let's see how we go. No.
Let's see how quickly they respond.
They're asleep. Is it dinner time?
They could well be. We got 3 or 4 that are watching, 8 that are commenting. So,
okay, I'll just talk.
There's a lot of sites out there that cover Saint Germain. Ross says no, she hasn't, and KB says no, she hasn't. So there's an opening for you.
Okay, so number one, it is nothing, absolutely nothing to do with religion. So please don't even consider religion. Saint Germain is an ascended master, one of the, I suppose, the leaders, if I can put it like that, with ascended master. There is Saint Germain, there is Kuan Yin, there is, I think the Buddha is in there. There's another guy called El Moira, I can't say his name, and there's a few others. So if you choose to just start looking up Saint Germain, ascended master, basically he is the teacher. It's been around for a very long time, and it's called I am that I am. So breaking that down even further, you have the 2 words, I am. The 2 words I am would have to be the 2 most powerful words in the universe. So as an example, the amount of people at the moment that would be saying, we've all heard of tapping, or even if you haven't, people out there doing affirmations. Thanks to Louise Hay, Dwayne Dwyer. Sorry, Rose has just take the E off the end of Germain. There's no E at the end of Germain. But anyway, yeah, Dwayne Dwyer, the other, yeah, take the E off. No E on Germain. Yeah, so basically the amount of people that are doing affirmations, the amount of people that are actually saying, I am fearless and expect to become courageous. That just doesn't work. If you can remember, I am are the 2 highest words in the universe, and you saying I am fear and or I am less, if you can picture that fear is a vibration that is very, very low. I got told over 4 years ago, I'm talking spiritually, energy travels on the spoken word. So whatever we physically say, energetically, talk out loud or speak, is what is put out there. So people that are actually saying, I am fearless and expect to become courageous, you mentioning the word fear or less is where you are going to be and are vibrating at. Even if you don't feel it, you need to be saying, I am courageous. So as an example, let's say you need to go up on stage to receive an award. You would not be saying, I am fearlessly accepting my award. You would actually be saying and affirming to yourself, I am courageously accepting my award. It even goes down to it's every single part of your life. The amount of people that say, I am dieting. Now, there's 2 things. Number one, the first 3 letters of the word diet are actually die. So that's what you're physically seeing. You're not going to go on a diet for the rest of your life. What you are going to do is you are going to eat healthy. So what you would be saying to yourself, even though you're not, but you will start changing the thought program, is I am eating healthy. I am loving. I mean,
there's a classic one when we go away. We have the habit of saying, I do not want any trouble. And by saying that, we have the want in there. And the do gets dropped, so it ends up being I want trouble. So normally when I'm heading out, I'm saying I want an uneventful journey. And that cancels out all the others.
Or you would even change that. See, what you're actually wanting is a safe journey. Is that what you're wanting? So you wouldn't even use that. What you're wanting is what, a safe journey, or what was the other word?
An uneventful journey.
Yep, yep. So the actual is fantastic. I was just going to say another one. The amount of people. Now, number one, Saint Germain is big, and in part of this tapping verse that I got told was loving ourselves at the deepest level of our being. The amount of people, full stop, if you don't love yourself, no matter what shape your body is, no matter whatever your issue is, if you don't love yourself, you're basically in conflict with it. You have to love the body that you are in, and it will then do as it is told. I mean, I told myself many times, I am remaining healthy. I am remaining flexible. I am easily maintaining my ideal weight. I am, yeah. You can't mention the negative.
It's the I am.
You always have to mention the positive. I mean, the amount of, get me into the English language, the amount of people and communication. If I was to say to you, Roy, don't you want to go to the playground? Now, what don't is do not. So the question there is, do not you want to go to the playground? But the question should be, do or would you like to go to the playground? Especially with kids, the English language has become totally out of whack. Very, very out of whack.
Yeah.
You can remember only ever mention.
This can be also, and as we were talking before, with people who are going through these issues with abuse and the like, the words that we choose can make a heck of a difference in both our responses and their responses to what we're saying.
I mean, the amount of, let's say, weight loss and all that jazz that's going on. What you are wanting is, number one, a healthy body. Maybe you're wanting a slim body. Maybe you're wanting a flexible body. No more I am dieting, because dieting is the negative. Start telling yourself, I am choosing to eat healthy. I am enjoying, even if you're not, keep telling yourself that you don't enjoy eating healthy, and that's the vibrational outcome that you're going to get.
Yeah. As we mentioned in one of the other shows that you've done already, neighbours who may be involved in some sort of communication with a next door neighbour or something, who may have something they wish to convey. Again, we come back to the communication aspect, but what should they be aware of, and what should they be perhaps doing to ease the conscience of the person over the other side of the fence?
As in what? Sorry, I don't remember. As in, give me.
Your next door neighbour may be going through something. It could be abuse. It could be domestic violence or something like that. And sometimes in conversation they let things slip.
Yep.
They don't really mean to say, well, they do mean to say something, but they don't mean to tell it to other people. How do we recognise those bits and pieces, and how do we sort of gain more or word our conversation so that they're more willing to offer this information?
Once again, I suppose the way that you choose to react, as an example, don't go, oh my God, like, oh my God, are you okay? Or, like whatever. Say, I never realised. Would, like, once again, I mean, everyone is different on their compassionate level and how you choose to speak. Listen, anytime you'd like to talk, I would love to hear you. I would love to listen to you. Just let them know.
And in some of these instances, you might be, it's questionable, because they might come out with a bruise or two, and it could be accidental, but you're never quite sure. And so it's difficult to lead a question that doesn't presuppose domestic violence, and it may not be. So there's a sort of a hesitant resistance from somebody next door to mention anything.
I suppose domestic violence, I mean, would be very different to the sexual abuse. The sexual abuse you physically can't see. domestic violence, you would get to see a bruise, but then you would also maybe start to notice, you know, a warm day, the person's always wearing long sleeves, or most of us are very in tune. I mean, we need to start really trusting our, you know, solar plexus and stuff, but that's, I suppose, a bit of a touchy one because they may be living with the partner that is actually abusing them. So, yeah.
They could be abusing themselves. I mean, they could be cutting themselves, which is often a sign of people wearing jumpers and long sleeve shirts in warmer weather so they can cover that up. But it's the part of how do we politely try to find out whether we can help and be a mentor to them without making them feel uncomfortable and intrusive in what's going on in their life.
It's unusual that you brought this up. We actually had an incident at work where somebody did exactly what you're saying, and not my heart didn't go out to him, because once again, watch the words that you're using. You know, your heart going out to people is physically getting out of alignment. But me having been through the depression and whatever, and I mean, I was in a pretty bad state, and it was like, wow, for somebody to get to that point to actually want to cut themselves, wow, they must be in a pretty sad place. Even something simple, you can ask them. I mean, I asked this person, you know, like I went up and I just said, you know, are you okay? Do you need some help? And I got the answer of no. What I truly wish I had have done was just sit down next to that person and just say to them, do you mind if I just sit here next to you? Don't say anything to them. Don't ask them any questions. Just be that other, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking. Just be that other physical person so they know that there is just somebody interested in them just sitting next to them.
So that they can make if they decide to make that decision, you're there to listen and nothing more. It's a physical contact next to them.
Yeah, just say, look, I am just, don't even, well, this is coming from me. You work out the situation when you're there, but coming from me, what I wish I had done was to take lead of the situation and basically say, I am just going to sit here next to you. Is that okay? They would be that deep in thought of wherever they are look, depending where they are on that depression level and medication and or whatever, but just sit there with someone. Don't even touch them if need be. You know, I'm not sure how workplaces are. Just sit there with them and just say, look, do you mind? I would actually love just to sit here next to you, and just leave it at that and just sit there. Get the attention of somebody else that is around that, you know, we're going to need a first aid officer, or we're going to need somebody. But just sit there with them. Just say, I would, you know, and once again, going back to the words that we physically use. No, oh my God, what have you done? Oh, you know, I would, telling them, I would love, there's that word love. I would love just to sit here with you and just plonk yourself next to them. Don't pick your nails, don't whatever, don't get energy going. Just sit there and just be, just that they feel somebody is sitting, is just there with them. So, because to get to that point of, I'm going to say cutting or whatever it's called, someone is in a very, very low place. Yeah.
And there's a lot out there that are going through something similar.
Yeah.
There's a Stephen Gibbs who's left a comment, and no, I probably won't do a shout out for you, Stephen. I'm not exactly sure what it is you need the shout out for. So I'm going to leave that right where it is. If that offends you, I'm terribly sorry, but we'll get into that another day. If you happen to be going to Michelle's site, I'm going to throw up here something you should be looking for, which is this wonderful lion's head. When it's there, when you get onto the site, you'll know you're on the right side because they've got this brilliant lion head. And if you look to the left of the lion head, I'm not sure on your screen, you'll see the gifted red head is Michelle Cali. So if you're looking for the red head, that's the face you're looking for, gifted red head.
I just want to end like just quickly. I'm in a bit of a standstill, and I ask for even if you want to talk to me behind the scenes, fantastic. But I mean, would people be interested in me doing live talks? My perception is coming from the sexual abuse. I probably wouldn't go to a live talk because I would think, oh my gosh, you know, there's people are going to be hanging around outside and they're going to see me. Like, I don't know, are people open to live talks, or I don't know really what.
If it's called The Gifted Redhead, they're unlikely to know what it's about unless they're going there to talk to you. So perhaps an open venue where The Gifted Redhead is doing a talk would have it may have good connotations. So you've got a couple of minutes, so I'll let you go for a couple of minutes, and you can. I'll come up and I'll close down when you've finished doing the. Just give people an idea of where your web page is and your Facebook page and all the good stuff.
Okay, so, or as Roy has said, web page www.thegiftedredhead.com. Facebook page, which I've only just started, so please give it the likes up, share it with your friends. Like I have said, I'm open for questions. I'm open for any type of questions on there, even if need be questions behind the scenes if you don't want, you know, others to see your questions. Mentoring program opening up if you're interested in that, or even once again, if you hear of anybody wanting a mentor, I'm taking on three to five for a 6-month mentoring package at half price because it is my very first. It's called a beta program to see how it goes. The ebook for the Saint Germain and the new verse that I got is in the pipeline. Don't know what else is there.
I don't know. You're telling this story, so I'm letting you tell us.
This is very unusual, but I'm going to put it out there. We seem to have a lot of ladies on here, but you know, even it might be a gentleman. You know, how would you know if your partner had actually been sexually abused? And do you just blurt it out and say, "Hey, have you been abused?" Or yeah, so you know, could your marriage breakdown have actually been your actual partner was actually sexually abused, and you know absolutely you knew nothing about it, and that was actually the downfall in your relationship and in your marriage.
Yeah,
and even how they can start talking about it and how would you react, and yeah, there's all it's a squillion things out there to do with it. So
yeah. So if anybody out there has questions for Michelle, you've got the Facebook page, and you can, I would think most likely, just send a question on Messenger through the Gifted Redhead, and hopefully that will get you the connection you need to get a conversation started with Michelle. I'd like to thank Michelle for coming on tonight, and I'm going to close Michelle off because she's had a whole heap of time, and I'm going to just close out and hopefully, if you would like to see more about Michelle, or you have questions that you would like to see answered, then I would suggest leaving them in the comments, and Michelle will check them in the coming week or so. And hopefully, if the questions are good, we can have another show which will simply answer those questions. So we'll write them down or something. Thank you very much, Michelle, for your attention tonight, and thank you for bringing all this to other people.
Oh, good. Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you very much. I'll get back to you in a moment. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Healing Within 25. Now, hopefully we will have somebody next week, if we're lucky, doing Ayurvedic medicines. So we, again, this is one of those people who, if it's possible, will get to us. If not, we'll try and find somebody else to cover the work. But we look forward to seeing you next week for Healing Within 26. So thank you very much and good night, and I hope you've enjoyed the commentary. And if you have some ideas that you think people would benefit from, then you're more than welcome to contact Roy at moonamask.com.au and leave a message of who that person might be and the topic that they have that is of interest to other people. Thank you very much. And when this is finished, I will be closing down. Join me at BeLive and get 30 days free via the link in the post, please.